Hello, I'm Zana, owner of Birthing with Confidence. Welcome to my introductory online antenatal course. If you haven't already listened to the introduction, then I suggest you go there first before you move on to this bit. This is module 1, and it's about the importance of acknowledging and valuing feelings alongside learning and getting information about labour and birth. I'm a counsellor as well as an antenatal teacher and a hypnobirthing teacher, and I know that how you feel is really important, and we often don't value our feelings highly enough. How you feel can affect your birth experience, and your feelings will shape your lasting memories of your birth. Hopefully you have your journal nearby, which I talked to you about in the introduction, so you can record and explore your reactions as we go. I do what I do, teach antenatal classes, because I want you to feel better about birth and I want you to feel more skilled and confident to be able to deal with it. This whole course is free to access. If you like what I'm doing, if you find this module useful, please, if you'd like to show your appreciation, it'd be great if you could buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Zana Parker. Thank you very much. This first module, this first part of my course is all about feelings and emotions. It gives some background as to why I'm putting so much emphasis on feelings. It discusses how we're all affected differently by our birth experiences, and there's space for you to consider how you're feeling right now as you start this course. Before we move on, just a little reminder about self-care. If you know that your emotions about birth and labour are quite close to the surface, if you're feeling quite worried or upset about birth, please do take care, pace yourself and take breaks when you need to. I've often heard pregnant parents, well, lots of people say, knowledge is power. And in many cases, of course, that's absolutely true. It's really good in terms of birth to find out what things mean, to understand what your midwife or your doctor is recommending, what the implications are, what the pros and cons are of certain medical procedures, and what your rights are, so you can decide which parts of maternity care or advice you want to accept and which bits you'd like to decline. Knowledge helps us to understand, to put things in context. Nowadays, it's often linked to use of technology. And we value knowledge highly in our society, often to the detriment of feelings, instinct and intuition. But, and it is a big but in this case, pregnancy, birth and becoming a parent is a completely different experience to most of the other experiences, changes and decisions we need to make in life. It's a huge, intense, physical and emotional roller coaster ride. Can you think straight when you're on a roller coaster? Or do you experience it physically and emotionally? I bet for most people, thinking straight becomes pretty difficult, if you're on a roller coaster, that is. And you probably remember the physical and the emotional experiences much more clearly than you would, say, understand the technical aspects of how somebody conceived and put the ride together. With birth, however much medical terminology you learn or use, none of that is going to be a huge help on the day when you're the person actually doing birth. Birth is driven by the ancient, instinctive, hormonal part of your brain, not your clever, more so-called modern, conscious thinking part of your brain, the part that you're used to using day to day. How you feel, how you cope, and how you deal with things is far more important on the day than being able to name all the technical parts of a pelvis, for example. So yes, absolutely do inform yourself, but give equal importance to how you feel and what you need to help you deal with a physical and emotional, metaphorical roller coaster ride. If you look at these faces, all of women during labour or just after giving birth, do they look as if they're thinking really hard about medical processes taking place? Or are they experiencing, feeling, just being in the moment? Okay, so that's some of my philosophy, some of my reasons for encouraging you to use a journal and for encouraging you to connect more completely with your whole self when you're considering pregnancy, labour, birth, and becoming a parent. And your feelings are so important, so much a part of that. Here are some words that illustrate how we'd all ideally like our births to be. Safe, of course. Empowering. Exciting. Positive. Happy. Life-enhancing. And affirming. And a few more words about how we'd all ideally like to feel or be treated during our labours and births. We'd like to feel respected, in control, to feel supported, to feel healed if that's appropriate for you, and calm. And I'm sure that there are plenty of other words that you can come up with that are more appropriate for you personally and how you'd like your birth to be. I want to take a short moment here just to acknowledge that whilst this is what we all want and deserve, sadly for some people this isn't a reality. Not all births are positive births. Some vaginal births are joyous and some are scary. Some caesarean births are joyous and some are scary. It's how we feel and cope and react to an experience that has a lot to do with how we shape our longer term memories and reactions to it. And I'm going to revisit this a little bit more when we get to Module 3. Life and birth are unpredictable, and until we experience something, it's impossible to know how we will react to that experience. During your life so far, you have had many unique experiences. And I'm scrolling through some pictures on the screen now that illustrate a tiny variety of life experiences, reactions, emotions. What you've experienced is very different from what I've experienced. Your background is different from my background, and from everyone else's. Even if someone has had a similar experience to you, they might process it differently and make different meaning from it. We all react to and recover from things differently and uniquely. All our past experiences are carried with us in one form or another into the present, sometimes obviously and in our awareness, and sometimes subtly and out of our awareness. In this way, we also bring our whole selves, including all our memories, beliefs, worries, skills, abilities, everything, to our birth experiences. How we experience, process, and remember our births depends on a multitude of things, believe it or not, from the past, as well as from what happened on the day. We bring our own personal ability to self-calm when we get wound up or anxious. We bring our expectations about birth and how reality may match or differ from that. We bring our internal personal stories, so things perhaps we've grown up believing about ourselves. How we feel about birth also depends how it happens to unfold on the day, whether things go smoothly or whether it feels scary. Might depend who we happen to have looking after us, whether we click with them, or even how their day or how their week has been and how they view us, how they speak to us. There are thousands of other things, sometimes with no obvious connection, that contribute to how we experience having a baby and what our lingering memories of that experience become. And this is why no antenatal course can actually guarantee you a completely positive birth experience, or be responsible for how your birth unfolds and how you feel about it. This antenatal course is a journey of discovery for you. It's not a guarantee of a perfect positive birth. And quite frankly, if any courses do make that kind of promise, they're not really being entirely open and honest with you. Some people are sadly left feeling traumatised by their birth experience. And the only person who can judge whether or not something feels traumatic is the person who experienced it. Two people could have exactly the same births, and one person might be traumatised, whereas the other one isn't. There isn't any right or wrong when it comes to feelings, and all feelings are valid. Nothing you hear or read or see in this course is intended to negate or brush aside any feelings or any experiences that you may have had, and it's possible that it's the past that's led you here. I'm going to do my best to strike a balance between realism and idealism. It's difficult because, as we've seen, everyone following this course is different. We've all got our own backgrounds, we've all got our own experiences. I don't want to gloss over the more difficult aspects of birth, but neither do I want to catastrophise. I simply want for you that you have the best experience of birth that you can. I've mentioned feelings a lot now, so I'd like to give you some time to consider your feelings right now about pregnancy, labour, birth, and becoming a parent. I'm going to suggest that you write some stuff down in your journal if you want to. If you're looking at the video, you'll see there's green text and the book icon that I mentioned in the introduction to indicate that you might like to use your journal. Hit pause if you need to gather things together. My invitation to you is to write down all the different feelings that come to you when you think about labour, birth and becoming a parent. Be honest with yourself. No one else needs to see this unless you choose to share it. And don't forget the good feelings. People often focus on the things that are bothering them, but they don't always focus on the more positive kind of feelings. So don't forget the happiness, the joy, assuming that there is some. I've written on the screen that you might also, if it helps you, you might like to create columns. Maybe put the good feelings that you want to have in one column and the feelings that you'd rather not have in a different column. Or if words aren't your thing, you can just scribble or use emoticons or doodle or draw, anything you like at all. This is for you, not for anybody else. So pause the video now, give yourself time to consider your feelings and to mark them or write them down, and then press play when you're ready to carry on. I wonder how that went for you. I've suggested on the screen some of the feelings that might have come up for you, but you don't have to have written any of these. There's no right or wrong. And of course, as I said, you don't have to show what you've done to anyone else. My suggestions for how you might be feeling maybe are scared, excited, curious, terrified, out of control, uncertain, sad, happy, strong, anxious, worried, optimistic, calm, peaceful. Or maybe you wrote something completely different. Whatever you've written is true and valid. So keep your list somewhere safe and we'll come back to it right at the end of this whole course. If you want to contact me at any point during this course, you're very welcome to do so. If you have questions, you want clarification on something or something else, all my contact details are on my website, which is www.birthingwithconfidence.co.uk. If you'd like to show your appreciation and you're able to, then please do consider buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Zana Parker. That's ZANAPARKER. Thank you very much. If you'd like to consider booking tailored antenatal sessions with me, or a breathing and relaxation workshop, or a hypnobirthing course, or you'd like to have weekly counselling, please feel free to get in touch. I am always very happy to chat about birth. The next module is part 2, and it's going to be the story of a straightforward birth. So I look forward to seeing you over there. Bye for now.